Hello, Assassin Army. I'm back. Yes, I am late. I know. There's another D&D episode. You're wondering where that is. I'm not procrastinating. Look, it's the end of the it's the end of the school year. Had finals to do, state testing, whatnot. So yeah, sorry about that. But today we're going to be ending up season 1 of the USSA. Yes, it's only 3 episodes long because this is basically just the very beginning of the campaign. Um, you're gonna like it though, cause it got crazy. This can't at the end of it. So let's begin. So where do we leave off? So they got into the interview with Washington, and then they kind of left his office and started heading to like the main headquarters. So here's what's happening. So they're walking around and they're seeing like all the agents walking around and everything, and it's a pretty chill place, um, honestly. And he calls all the agents together and he says, "Agents, we are planning an attack on New Germany because Black Star is there. We must defeat Olaf and John Unclear." Um, Everyone's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." All of a sudden, boom! Explosions from the background from the background. All of a sudden, um, there are hundreds of Black Star troops dropping from the ceiling and coming in from entrances and stuff. And in walks Olaf and John Unclear. They made the first attack, and Olaf's laughing and like, "Oh, you can't defeat me." And there, and everyone's like, "Hold my beer." uh, so so a huge fight ensues. And Napoleon, my as you can saw from earlier, my kind of man child has now has the brain of a 12-year-old. So thankfully he's more intelligent than a 4-year-old. So he's actually a youth, and he's shooting some of the troops, and all of us are in the fray of the battle. But it's starting to get intense, and we're kind of all cornered, and everyone's fighting, and we're losing troops. We're starting to lose agents, and all of a sudden Washington Prime and Olaf are like clashing, and it's like the battle of the Titans because they're both like super overpowered. Um, so in the distance, we actually see General Washington Washington Prime getting carried out of the room unconscious by Olaf. He's been kidnapped, and all of a sudden, like 12 troops with bomb vests show up, and room explodes. Whole room. We lose like majority of our agents. Um. So in the rubble, the clearing, Arthur Drazel is kind of like dazed, but he gets up and looks around, and first thing he thinks is Napoleon, because Arthur is like basically Napoleon's uncle at this point. Um, so he rushes over and he pulls the rubble off, and he sees Napoleon unconscious, but Napoleon like snaps awake all of a sudden and is looking around, and the first thing he thinks is like, "Oh shoot, where's my dad?" And I'm his non-biological father because I'm saved him from the test tube. So he goes searching through the rubble, and he finds me, and I'm okay. I have like some cuts from shrapnel, but I'm generally like fine. Nothing's wrong with me. And then we find JFK. Every bone is broken in JFK's body, but he like snaps his legs back into place, and he snaps all his like fingers and his arms and his shoulder back into place, and he's like, "Hey, Arthur Drazel, can you get my back?" And like his back is just like crooked, like he has scoliosis or something. And Drazel fixes his back, and he's like much better. um, but they never find Oppenheimer or they never find him. He's just gone. By the way, Oppenheimer is the person who plays Oppenheimer. The campaign is actually one of my comment mods. Pavlov Winter Soldier. Yeah. So give thanks to him. And so we get everyone out, and yeah, Oppenheimer's dead. There's no sign of him. He died in the explosion, and we're getting like troops up and stuff, and I call in like medical reinforcements to one, get injured people, and two, get people who are already in the infirmary to a safe place. And so like they all give like a great speech and give Oppenheimer his condolences, and finally Arthur Drazel's like, boys, let's go attack New Germany and get our boss back, and everyone's like, yeah, oh no. And so next it just cuts to a bunch of like hundreds. Let's imagine as a movie. Cuts to a scene of all of us like hijacking planes. Yes, we hijack the passenger planes, and like Agent Abraham Lincoln, who we saved in the last session, like gets on there with like a shotgun and is like just forcing them off the planes, and so there's like hundreds of planes, passenger planes in the air heading towards New Germany, and we started playing Freebird on our phones for that scene, so it's canon that Freebird is playing on all the planes, and then Drazel gets onto the microphone, and he says, all pilots, this is your top captain speaking. We are going to be dropping out of the planes right now over New Germany, so let's do that. And so all the agents start jumping out of the planes, and that's including the people flying the planes. So as the agents are landing on the ground, the airplanes are like crashing into New Germany. There's hundreds of planes just raining down into New Germany and like knocking over skyscrapers and stuff. And also the agents, our agents don't use parachutes. They're so democratic that like democracy itself protects them, and they don't take any injuries when they fall from like 5,000 feet in the air. So we start landing, and oh yeah, they allowed me to, something I've been wanting forever. I've been asking the dungeon master if I can have an auto shotgun. Didn't let me until today. Now I have an auto shotgun. So we started mowing down troops, and then we burst through the front doors of the main base, and we're like kicking down doors and throwing grenades into any empty room. And then we get to the very top of the roof, and there's Olaf. And he's just kind of standing there, and he's like chuckling, and he says, "You think you can really stop me?" And he has a giant red button by him, and he says, "You know what this is? The minute I click this, it sends all these nukes that are directed to the USSA. You're not gonna win this." And everyone's like, "Oh, really?" So Drazel goes in and gets a couple punches, and then he gets thrown against the wall, and then Napoleon goes in. And he does pretty good, but he's beaten to a pulp, and we thought he was going to die. But apparently, he had a super stim, which all characters get one super stim, which like it's basically a second life. It completely heals you of all your injuries. And so he's still alive, luckily. And like, what's his name? Olaf like rips off his shirt, and he's like really muscular. Like it is a show of dominance, saying, "Oh, I'm much better than you. I'm going to be stronger than you." And so Joseph Stalin, Agent Stalin, capitalist Agent Stalin, was like, "Oh, really?" And he ripped his shirt off, and he had been training since they last fought, and he was more jacked than Olaf. And Napoleon got up from behind, and it grabbed Olaf by the neck, and this other guy got in front of him and started like punching him in the stomach, and then grabbed him by the throat and put him up against the wall. And then everyone else started like unloading mags and bullets and like started punching and stabbing him. And then all this, and then he like pushed himself away from me, and he went for the red button, but all of a sudden, boom, headshot. Napoleon shoots him in the head, and he kind of feels up against his forehead, and then kind of like looks in a mirror, and then he falls out the window. I don't think it's a headshot. I think it's a shot to the heart. I can't remember, but it's lethal. And he falls off the window like 5 stories and hits the ground. But he's somehow still alive, but he's just like barely alive. So we all go down there, and all the agents are surrounding him. And Agent Stalin, comes up and takes a Molotov and sticks it in his mouth. And then I light a cigar and throw it behind me, and he bursts into flames. Finally, Olaf, the big bad guy, is killed. Finally beat him. It's a time, and now there's a time skip. And it's like all of us meeting up at like a McFreedom or something. Yes, we renamed all of the popular fast food restaurants to something like American-ish, because the whole thing is like America being better than all the rest of the countries, like much stronger. It's the whole D&D campaign idea. General Washington's there, and he's like preparing to retire. Then there's Drazel's there. He's still like a free agent, and he's a little bit older now. He's already pretty old. He's like in the 70s, but he's still kicking, and still being annoying as ever. But he's not as bad as I originally thought now. Then you have a Napoleon. He's actually risen in the ranks a bit. He's in charge of his own squad now. And then there's me, and instead of mainly being brute focused, I've been my character's like turned a little more philosophical. He's still like really jacked, but like he's also been learning like technology and engineering and stuff like that. So basically, Tony Stark, because he's already rich. So yeah, they're like meeting up and they're talking. It's been a couple months. Everyone's really just taking a vacation. Like Stalin and JFK have taken vacations. And then it cuts to another scene somewhere, far across the world. And there's a picture with a picture of Agent Abraham Lincoln. And all of a sudden, a knife flies and sticks it to the wall. It was already pinned to the wall, but someone stabs the picture. And then the person who stabbed the picture was John Enclair. He lived. He hadn't been killed, unlike Olaf. He had escaped pretty easily, actually, because he's actually a genius. And he was getting the remnants of Black Star all together, and he's planning to enact revenge. And that's where it ends. That's how the first session of the thing ends. So next season of D&D recaps is gonna be like us fighting John Enclair. That's when the D&D campaign's really going to begin. Yeah, but also I'm gonna start another D&D recap series because I'm also going to be joining 2 other campaigns at the same time. We're going to have a pirate one, and there's a grimdark one, but we're starting that next year because we're going to have 2 campaigns going on during the summer at the same time. So, yeah, that's about all I got. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and feel free to join my Discord. I really appreciate it. It's a pretty small Discord at the moment, but yeah. we'll be releasing gaming videos soon. Trust me, I promise I will. I'll stop procrastinating and I'll get my setup back together. Peace. Okay, that was an awkward silence.